Welcome to Pharmacy Lectures. Today we are going to discuss GPAT 2019 MCQs. Last time we had discussed GPAT 2019 MCQs from question number 1 to 25, and today we will discuss from question number 26 to 50. Okay, so let's start. First, retention hyperbilirubinemia is caused due to non-clearance of bilirubin, reflux of bilirubin into bloodstream, overproduction of bilirubin, or choleric jaundice. Here, retention hyperbilirubinemia is caused due to overproduction of bilirubin, and hyperbilirubinemia is a condition in which there is a build up of bilirubin in the blood, causing yellow discoloration of the eyes and skin, called jaundice. Means bilirubin is in high concentration in our blood, above the normal concentration. Here the unconjugated bilirubin in blood is called retention hyperbilirubinemia and is caused by overproduction of bilirubin, also called hemolytic jaundice, or by failure of uptake or conjugation. This can also be the cause of retention hyperbilirubinemia. Next, oxazole is prepared by condensation of alpha amino carbonyl compound with amino ether or amino ester or amino acid or isocyanide. Oxazole contains one nitrogen and one oxygen. Okay, so here the answer is amino ester. If we have to condense alpha amino carbonyl compound, then we can only condense with amino ester and form oxazole. Now let's see here how here oxazole is prepared. Here in this reaction, I have taken this screenshot from a research article, and here in this research article you can see above there is a ring called thiazole. Above the thiazole ring there is a amide, and below the amide we can see there is a NH, and NH is Boc protected. If we use TFA, there you can see at point number 1 there is written TFA. In presence of TFA, the Boc will be removed and NH2 will be there, and so that is alpha amino carbonyl. To the C double bond O's alpha position there is amino group. And next you can see below here, this is the amino ester. If ester is a compound which contains a C double bond O, if instead of C double bond O there is C double bond NH, then it is called amino ester. Okay, and here you can see next subsequently oxazolidine is prepared, or oxazole ring is prepared. So in this way, from amino ester and alpha amino carbonyl compound, if we condense them, then we can get oxazole ring. Next, conversion of aryl diazonium chloride to aryl chloride can be achieved in the presence of copper 1 chloride or calcium chloride or sodium chloride or copper 2 chloride. Here we can convert aryl diazonium chloride to aryl chloride in presence of copper 1 chloride, and let's see the reaction here. Here the first compound you can see above, here it is aryl diazonium compound, and next to the aryl diazonium you can see copper CuX, it is copper 1, and there is a single electron transfer from copper to the nitrogen. Okay, there is an electron transfer from copper to the nitrogen, so it is now copper 2, and subsequently it becomes copper 3, and again it regains its initial form back and forms copper 1, and we can see from aryl diazonium, diazonium means there are 2 nitrogen or 2 aza compound, and from aryl diazonium directly you can see the name of the reaction is given Sandmeyer reaction. It is called Sandmeyer reaction, and aryl halide is prepared, or aryl chloride is prepared. Now let's see next. Here identify the name reaction. We have to identify this name reaction. It is a Curtis rearrangement or Wolff rearrangement or Clemenson reduction or Wolff-Kishner reduction. Here look at the starting material. At the starting material there is a keto group. Okay, next the substrate which is added to it, next reagent added to is it NH2, and this NH2 is called hydrazine, and hydrazine has replaced the oxygen. Okay, you can see there. And next is the use of base, which is KOH, and nitrogen oxide N2, nitrogen gas is removed, and from our ketone a alkane is prepared. So this reaction is a reduction reaction. Okay, it is a Wolff-Kishner reduction, and the reduction of aldehydes or ketones to alkanes can be achieved, and the condensation of the carbonyl compound with hydrazine forms hydrazone. So the middle compound you can see there, it is a hydrazone, and upon treatment with base induce the reduction of carbon coupled with oxygen of hydrazine, and there is a reduction, means the nitrogen, which is electronegative atom, is removed and hydrogen is added. That's why it is called reduction. Okay, let's see next. 30. RNA molecules having intrinsic catalytic activity are called as ribozymes or snRNAs or RNAs or mRNAs. Here the RNA molecules having intrinsic catalytic activity are called as ribozymes. The ribozymes are RNA molecules that are capable of catalyzing a chemical reaction. Okay, they are capable of catalyzing chemical reactions. Ribozymes occur naturally inside cells where they play an essential role in the ribosome, which is the site for protein synthesis, joining amino acids together to form protein chains. Ribozymes also play a role in other vital reactions such as RNA splicing, transfer RNA biosynthesis, and viral replication. Means overall they play the role in protein synthesis. Let's see next. Which of the following pair of drugs is considered as selective alpha-1 blockers? Formoterol and levalbuterol, yohimbine and carinanthin, prazosin and terazosin, or timolol and metoprolol. You have to select a drug combination among a drug pair which are selective alpha-1 blocker. They will block the alpha-1 receptor, they will block. This class of drug you will read in adrenergic section. These two drugs are prazosin and terazosin, and prazosin and terazosin blocks alpha-1 adrenergic receptor, and they can be found at all vascular smooth muscle. They can also be found at GI and urinary sphincters, also can be found in dilator muscle of the iris, erector pili muscle of hair follicles, and on central and peripheral nervous system. Next, the infrared absorption peaks of nuzole is due to vibrations involving OH stretching and OH deformation, CH stretching and CH deformation, SH stretching and SH deformation, and NH stretching and NH deformation. You have to identify which of the following deformations and stretching reactions will go on if we pass infrared light into the compound nuzole. Here nuzole is basically a paraffin, it is an alkane compound. Okay, and all of you basically know that alkanes are primarily made by carbon and hydrogen only. So we cannot find oxygen and hydrogen stretching in there, sulfur and hydrogen stretching, NH stretching, because there are only carbon and hydrogen bond. There are no any other bonds. So our right answer will be carbon hydrogen stretching and carbon hydrogen deformation. And like I said earlier, nuzole can only show CH related stretching and deformation because nuzole is essentially the alkane with the formula CnH2n+2, and nuzole is a brand, actually it's a brand of mineral oil used in IR spectroscopy. Let's see next. The following ACE inhibitor used in treating cardiovascular disorder is synthesized from the natural amino acids L-alanine and L-proline. Let's see which are these ACE inhibitors: enalapril, captopril, lisinopril, or ramipril. You have to identify one drug which is primarily prepared from L-alanine and L-proline. So let's see the compound which it is. It is enalapril, and here you can see in enalapril the purple colored ring, the ring with purple color, or the atoms and groups, the purple color, it is a proline molecule. Okay, and the red colored part of the molecule is alanine. So basically you can tell it is basically prepared from alanine and proline. And there are other functional group also. You can see there is a ethyl benzene and ethyl acetate group also there. So don't look at there, just look at the alanine and proline portion only. Your answer will be clarified. Next, see, choose the correct product of the following reaction: HNO3 plus 2H2SO4. Whenever this sulfuric acid and nitric acid reacts, what type of molecules will be formed, we have to identify. S3O plus 2HSO4 plus NO2, or OH minus plus HSO4 minus plus NO2 minus, or S3O plus HSO4 minus plus NO2 plus, or H2O plus HSO4 minus plus NO2 plus. So you have to identify one of those products which is the only product formed after the reaction HNO3 and H2SO4. Primarily you might have heard the nitration reaction. Okay, in nitration reaction NO2 is formed, and there is also the formation of S3O plus also. So I think 3 is the right answer. Let's see. Yes, 3 is the right answer. And you can see the overall the reaction. It is given the balanced reaction. You can look it carefully by pausing the video. Let's move forward. 35. One of the following is a most commonly used protecting groups for amines, means for NH2 group: TOT, butyloxycarbonyl or BOC, paramethyl benzyl or PMB, methoxymethylene or MOM, and tetrahydropyranyl oxy or THP. Which is the most commonly used protecting group for amines? The most commonly used protecting group for amines is BOC. Mainly people do BOC protection, and whenever people do BOC protection, there is a formation of carbamate functional group. Okay, so carbamates are practical protecting group for amines. Here you can see there is a carbamate functional group CN, NHC double bond OO, and you can see here after the reaction with BOC, okay, this TOT butyloxycarbonyl BOC, it is the product formed after reaction with amine, and actually it is called BOC2O. It is the reagent used to do BOC protection. It is simply called BOC anhydride, but actually it is not anhydride, it is a carbonate functional group, but simply people call it BOC anhydride. 36. A conversion of carbonyl functionality directly to its hydrocarbon in basic media can be achieved by Clemmensen reduction, or lithium aluminum hydride reduction, or Wolff-Kishner reduction, or sodium borohydride reduction. You can see here are 4 reduction processes. You have to choose one. The Clemmensen reduction can be possible. It can convert, Clemmensen reduction can convert the carbonyl functionality into hydrocarbon, but the media is acidic media. Okay, so it is not fit for here. Lithium aluminum hydride and sodium borohydride, they cannot convert carbonyl functionality into hydrocarbon. They can only convert to hydroxy. So only the reduction process which is correct here is Wolff-Kishner reduction. You can see here this reaction was previously also in the name reaction. We have to choose this Wolff-Kishner reduction is the reduction of carbonyl compound. Here you can see there is hydrazine and there is KOH. Basic media also is there. So that's why Wolff-Kishner reduction is the right answer. Next, PM indicators are used in complexometric titrations, or non-aqueous titrations, or acid-base titrations, or redox titrations. PM indicators means, M means here metallic, okay, concentration of the metal ions. It indicates negative logarithm of concentration of metal ions means PM. And these PM indicators use PM values. So whenever there are metal ions, we have to automatically assume that the reaction is going to be complexometric type. EDTA will react there, something like that. So PM indicators are primarily used in complexometric titrations, and PM indicator are very sensitive to metal ions, that is to PM values, so that the color change occurs as near to the equivalence point as possible. And equivalence point, it is the point at which the equivalent amounts of titrant and titrand are reacted to each other in stoichiometric proportions. Here you can see PM means the negative logarithm of concentration of metal ions in the solution. Next, 38. What will be the heat of vaporization of 1 mole of water when it has the entropy change, means delta S, of 35.2 calorie per mole per degree at 25 degrees Celsius? If you want to vaporize 1 mole of water, okay, which is at 25 degrees Celsius, then what will be its heat of vaporization? You have to calculate if the entropy change is if the entropy change is 35.2 calorie per mole per degree. It is 8465 calorie per mole or 880 calorie per mole or 1.408 calorie per mole or 10489 calorie per mole. It is 880 calorie per mole, and let's see how it is the right answer. The formula for molar heat of vaporization, it is delta SV, entropy change into temperature. Okay, it is the formula, and here we have given entropy change given 35.2 calorie per mole per degree, and temperature it is 25 degrees Celsius. So we can calculate it. 35.2 into 25 will be 880. Okay, simple. And let's see next. Kinetically, x upon a minus x equal to kt is the expression for a fractional order reaction, first order reaction, second order reaction, or pseudo order reaction. We have to find out this equation will represent which of the following reactions. This equation will represent a second order reaction. Let's see how. This is the whole process of the how this formula is derived, and you can read this process by pausing the video. And I have taken this this equation from the Bahal book, Arun Bahal. You can go and read in there also. Okay, let's see next. A reaction of alpha halo ester with an aldehyde or ketone in the presence of base like NH2, it can be other base also, but like NH2, like NaNH2, gives alpha beta epoxy. Epoxy means there is oxygen containing 3-membered cyclic ring and carboxylic acid. This reaction is referred as Bamford-Stevens reaction, or Dargen's glycidic synthesis, or Baeyer-Villiger rearrangement, or Will-Geort rearrangement. Here let's see again the question. Alpha halo ester, ester containing halogen at alpha position, okay, is going to react with aldehyde or ketone in the presence of base like sodium amide or something like that, will give the compound alpha beta epoxy. Okay, alpha beta epoxy carboxylic acid. Now let's see the right answer. The right answer is Dargen's glycidic synthesis. Yes, and let's see how. Here you can see this is a ketone. Okay, it can be aldehyde also, and this compound you can see above the NH2, it is alpha halo ester. You can see at its alpha position there is a chloro group. That's why it is called alpha halo ester. And you can see here the compound. Here you can see the epoxy ring. Okay, so it is a Dargen's glycidic synthesis. Here glycidic, the word given, it is glycidic means something like epoxy group is there. Okay, glycidic means epoxy ring. Let's see next. Select the correct order of ortho-para directing ability of the functional group from those given below. Strongest first and weakest at last. Let's see. Amide, hydroxy, benzyl iodide, amine, amide, benzyl iodide, amide, amine, benzyl, benzene iodide, amide, amine, benzene iodide. The right answer here is for ortho-para directing ability, the right answer is amine, followed by amide, followed by benzene, followed by iodine. Okay, so option number 2 is correct here. You can see here very strong activators are amine. Okay, primary amine, secondary amine, 3-degree amine, hydroxy, and oxide. Moderate activators are ether, amide, and and ester. And weak activators are can be any alkyl group. Okay, alkyl or 6,6-S5 benzene or phenyl. Mild activators are fluoro, chloro, bromo, and iodo. So this is the right answer. Let's see next. 42. Predict lambda max for an pi antibonding transition absorption band in the UV spectrum of the following compound. This is the compound, and this is alpha beta unsaturated ketone. Okay, which is having methyl substitutions at its alpha position also and beta position also. You can see this is alpha beta unsaturated ketone. Okay, and it is having alkyl substitution, methyl substitution at alpha position and beta position also. Let's see what the answers are. 237, 241, 240, or 215. The right answer is 237, and let's see how. Here the calculation is given for you. The parent structure which is having alpha beta unsaturated acyclic ketone. Acyclic means it is not having any cyclic structure. Okay, not having cyclic, it is acyclic, and it is a ketone. Okay, it is alpha beta unsaturated ketone. The ketones alpha and beta position contains unsaturation, and the lambda max given to it is 250 nanometer, and one alpha alkyl substituent. To its alpha position there is one alkyl substitution, so 10 nanometer. To its beta position one alkyl substitution, there is another methyl, so 12 nanometer, and total 215 plus 10 plus 12 equal to 237 nanometer. That's the next question. The basic ring system present in the antihypertensive and anti-glaucoma drug timolol is 125 thiodiazole and morpholin, 135 thiodiazole and morpholin, 124 thiodiazole and morpholin, or 13 thiodiazole and morpholin. The right answer here is 125 thiodiazole and morpholin, and let's see how. Here look at the structure of timolol and count. And from where you have to count the numbering, you have to count from sulfur. Sulfur will be given the first priority, then only nitrogen will be given the second priority. You can count from either of the nitrogen. Any of the nitrogen you can count from right side or left side. You count, it will be 1, 2, 5 only. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you count from any of the side. And above this thiodiazole ring, there is a morpholin ring. You can see that 6-membered heterocyclic ring containing nitrogen and oxygen at 1 and 4 positions. It is morpholin. So the basic ring system present in the antihypertensive drug and anti-glaucoma drug timolol is 125 thiodiazole and morpholin ring is there. Let's see next. When 50 ml of sodium hydroxide 0.1 molar is added to 100 ml of 0.1 molar acetic acid, pH of the resultant solution will be how much? We have to find out the pH of the resultant solution. If the Ka means dissociation constant of acetic acid is given, here the dissociation constant of acetic acid is 1.82 into 10 to the power minus 5. Let's see the answers. 4.74, 7.42, 8.58, 7.06. And let's see, here the right answer is 4.74, and let's see how. Here sodium hydroxide is 50 ml given, okay, and acetic acid is given 100 ml, and if they both react, okay, in equimolar conditions, then still 50 ml of acetic acid will be remained in the solution, and 50 ml will be converted to sodium acetate. So now there is equimolar concentration of acid and its salt. Okay, now there is what? Equimolar concentration of acid and its salt, and the salt is how the salt is made. The salt is made from weak acid and strong base. Okay, and this is the condition, and this is the buffer solution. And in this buffer solution, once again look at the concentrations. Sodium acetate contains 50 ml and acetic acid also contains 50 ml. Now these both are in equimolar conditions. Whenever in a buffer solution the salt and acid are in equimolar concentrations, the pH of the solution will be equal to pKa, and here by applying one formula also same result will come. You can see here pH equal to pKa plus log salt upon acid, pH equal to pKa. We can calculate pKa by minus log Ka, negative logarithm of dissociation constant, plus log concentration of salt and acid. Salt formed is 50 ml and acid remaining is 50 ml. So 50 by 50 equal to 1, log 1 means 0. It will be cancelled out, and we have remaining only negative logarithm of the Ka. Okay, so it will come pH equal to 4.74. Here automatically you have to assume that if there is equimolar concentrations of the salt and acid, then pH will be equal to pKa, and pKa means negative logarithm of dissociation constant of the acid. Okay, let's see next. 45. Blockade in beta oxidation results in beta oxidation means fatty acids oxidation. Okay, oxidation of fatty acid. Von Gerk's disease, Tyrole's disease, or scurvy, or sudden infant death syndrome. Here the right answer is sudden infant death syndrome, because in sudden infant death syndrome the child, which is the infant, it cannot metabolize the long chain fatty acid or medium chain fatty acid. They have some problem internally, genetic problem, due to that genetic problem they cannot metabolize that fatty acid, they cannot oxidize the fatty acids. Okay, it will result in sudden infant death syndrome. There are also various causes of sudden infant death syndrome. One of the causes, this is also one of the cause. And here SIDS, it is also called Ray's syndrome. Okay, it is a deficiency of medium chain acyl coenzyme dehydrogenase. It cannot oxidize, or you can call it oxidize. Blockade in beta oxidation cannot occur there, and due to that energy cannot be produced. Okay, and hypoglycemia will occur because glucose moiety will not be there, or energy will not be sufficient to support its body, and its treatment is given here is carbohydrate rich diet. Let's see next. 46. Choose the correct sequence of process during atomization in atomic absorption spectroscopy. We have to choose the correct process sequence. Nebulization, dissolution, volatilization, and dissociation and ionization. And these are all the processes. I am not going to read these all, very long. The right answer here is, I'll directly see the right answer. The right answer is 2. Point number 2. Dissolution, nebulization, volatilization, dissociation, and ionization. And let's see how this is the right answer. Okay, this is the right answer because first we must make the sample solution. Okay, no, sorry, nebulization. We must make its small particle. Okay, we must make its mist type particles, small particles we must make it. Then dissolution, solid gas aerosol type dissolution we must occur. After that, volatilization, okay, to the gaseous molecule we have to convert, volatilization, and then dissociation, and then only after that ionization can occur. So read this carefully. 47. Which among the following compressed air gases has the highest thermal conductivity? Here 4 gases are given: compressed air, helium, nitrogen, or oxygen. Among these 4 gases, which have the highest thermal conductivity? You can say air, helium, nitrogen, oxygen. Here the right answer is helium. If hydrogen would be here, then hydrogen would also be right answer. Let's see why the helium is right answer. The value of thermal conductivity for most gases and vapors range between 0.01 and 0.03 W by mK at room temperature. The notable exception are only helium 0.15 and hydrogen 0.18. All other gases, okay, they are having very low thermal conductivity. And the reason why helium and hydrogen are having high thermal conductivity is that the thermal conductivity is proportional to the speed of the gas particles. So if they are small, then they can move very faster, they will not have any hindrance. Okay, which at fixed temperature is larger for lighter gases, means they have a higher speed, means the smaller particle have higher speed, and they can do much better thermal conductivity than the bigger gas molecules. 48. The following combination of drugs are used in treating severe traveler's diarrhea: pyrimethamine and sulfadiazine, trimethoprim and sulfadiazine, pyrimethamine and sulfamethoxazole, or trimethoprim and sulfamethoxazole. Here the right answer is trimethoprim and sulfamethoxazole, point number 4. Okay, and these trimethoprim and sulfamethoxazole is indicated for many other disease conditions like chronic bronchitis, bacterial meningitis, prophylaxis and treatment of pneumocystis carni, you can call it simply carni, zero vein pneumonia, sepsis, and various UTIs. Let's see 49. Permitted tolerance limit for 100 ml class B volumetric flask and 1000 ml class B volumetric flask according to BS 1792 specifications respectively are how much ml? We have to find out. 1 and 10 ml, 0.8 and 0.3 ml, 0.15 and 1.5 ml, or 0.15 and 0.8 ml. Here the right answer is 0.15 and 0.8 ml is the right answer. I have given you the class B grade permitted tolerance for other size also. For 5 ml size it is 0.04, for 25 ml size it is 0.06. Okay, and let's see last question here for today. In case of suppositories, SFI stands for solidified fatty acid indices or solid fat index. Here the right answer is a solid fat index, and this solid fat index, it can be defined as the percentage of solid glycerides in the fat mixture at a certain temperature. Okay, percentage of solid glycerides in the fat mixture at a certain temperature. And SFI can be determined by various processes like NMR, differential thermal analysis, and also by dilatometry. So this was all for today. We will discuss the rest of the GPAT MCQs in our next video. Till then, thank you.